Right, so we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. Guys, you already know for the last few years, I've been focusing in on financial education. A lot of y'all know me from psychology space, social work space. I was in child welfare for a hot minute, but I saw a lot of problems that was going on in the community. And I realized that if people had their money right, we can really reconcile a lot of these problems. So I really started to do research in the financial education space. And eventually I got to where I understood the three different relationships with money. So there's the earning the money. Most of us, we learn that, whether you're getting it legally or illegally, you pretty much learn how to get the money. But that next relationship, some of us learned it, but we learn it at a very foundational level. Save money. So you got a piggy bank, you got something you stuff it away in at the house, or you just go get a traditional bank account. But you get to the times that we're in now, and I forget what the statistic is, but over the last couple of years, inflation has overtaken the percentage you're going to be getting on an annual basis. So you're actually losing by saving. Now, that's if you don't put your money in the right place. So I've been blessed enough to be surrounded by a certain number of individuals that's helped me learn how to put my money in high yield accounts and accounts where I can actually get returns instead of my money drying up at the end of the day. And that's the second relationship. But the third relationship is growing your money. Now, specifically when it comes to the minority communities, black and brown, however you want to look at it, most of us never get education around that third relationship. So we don't learn how to grow money. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of what we're going to talk about tonight, which you saw in the and whatever pushed you to this video, you probably saw something along the lines of the Calico Station project. We're going to get into that here shortly, but the gentleman that we have before us today, Kenneth Moye. Now, I went to school with a guy. Last name was spelled the same way, but it was Moye. So that's how I was pronouncing your name for the longest until I heard somebody pronounce it Moye. I'm like, okay, so he added his twang to it. So
The jazz
Kenneth,
on.
man, before we get into the meat and potatoes, tell the people a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? And how did you get into this space of property development?
No problem at all, man. I appreciate the opportunity to be on this platform and share with everyone that's listening in. I'm Kenneth Moye. I go by Ken for the most part. From a native of Morris Point, Mississippi. If you don't know where that's at, it's on the Gulf Coast, last city along I-10 before you get to Alabama. So a lot of people pass through there, but never really. It's like a split second
Mm-hmm.
when you get on the off that bridge. But Morris Point, graduated from Morris Point High. Pretty much lived there all my life. Went off to Southern University in Baton Rouge. Got an architecture degree, and so from there I kind of start looking into ways that I can be an asset to the industry per se. So I wanted to get into governmental planning. I did city planning for several years with the city of Baton Rouge when I got out of school. From that perspective, I was working with a lot of developers doing projects in Baton Rouge from small scale to large scale. And being from an architecture background, the office I was working, the city planning office, wanted me to utilize my skills to review large scale projects in Baton Rouge. So that really just geared up my intellect and my drive for wanting to get into development in general, just on a larger scale. And as I saw patterns from working through the city, it was a lot of developments and projects going to, your not the minority neighborhoods. It wasn't going to the North Baton Rouges. It wasn't going to, where the hoods are at, or wasn't wasn't going to where everybody, it can be inclusion throughout the city. And so I looked at that and I evaluated it, and it just made me want to get out there and start being more of an asset on the other side, on the private development side versus the public side of where you looking at just rules and regulations. So from there, I started my business while I was at work. I started doing some architectural stuff, doing a lot of projects back at home in Mississippi. That started in 2015. Was doing some institutional type projects. Then I started getting into residential, then getting into some commercial design on things. And so from that, we came across a project in my hometown. Me and some family members and friends. We just wanted to see about just making a stamp and doing something positive for the community, and started looking at trying to develop this piece of property. And I learned so much, in house from off my intellect and just from what I've learned from through the city government process. But I was like, well, I need more education. I need to really learn the ins and outs of this stuff and be able to maneuver through private development industry. And so from there, I had one of my classmates from Southern. She went on to grad school and got a master's degree in sustainable real estate development, and one of my professors also. And so I talked to both of them, and they gave me a whole bunch of great insight on the program, that grad school program for real estate development. So I ended up going there, Tulane University in New Orleans. So got down there, got that Cajun atmosphere, gained a lot of weight, and then got back slim again. But yeah, had a good time down there in New Orleans, and learned a lot from that program. And so from there, I transitioned into the real estate development industry. So being that I had that architectural background and real estate development background, it kind of gave me a unique type of knowledge and base in the world. Well, not in the world, in the industry, and in the development community, and then also with that planning background, it's like I had all three kind of aspects of being able to evaluate or make a project happen. So from there, I just started growing, really looking at smaller scale projects, start buying a couple of smaller projects and smaller properties. And then here we are today, getting into some more mid-scale style commercial development, and I'm excited about it. The city's excited. I'm definitely well prepared for going into that realm, and so that's a little bit about me. I know it was kind of long-winded a little bit. I took you on a little journey, but
Man, like I'm I'm going on a journey with you, and I do a lot of speaking to students from various different ages. So I'm listening to the story and how you got a level of expertise over here, you got a level of expertise over here, and you marry them together, and that's what made you who you are today. there's this there's this phrase that we all are very familiar with: a jack of all trades, a master of none, something along
yeah,
those lines.
yeah, that's right.
Well, that's not the full phrase, but most people don't realize that. The full thing goes is a jack of many, but a master is one is still better than a master of one, or
Hmm.
still better. A jack of all, but master of none is still better than a master of one.
Uh-huh.
Because when you have value that you can give in various different areas, all together collectively, you bring more value to the project. As
Hmm.
long as they are related, that they can bounce off of one another one way or another. So that's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
what I see in your story. Whereas I've done similar things, but that's another story for another day. But we're gonna get into what we came here for. Um, and before we do so, we got another gentleman that's supposed to be joining us. He may be jumping in anytime now. But his name is, I was introduced to him as Nick Williams. Gabriel Nicholas Williams, we'll give his full government name. But I was introduced to him as Nick Williams. He was actually working for the city when I met him. And I was working with the university doing I want to say I was doing my internship. Anyways, we went to the city government and we're working on a financial education research project. So we're going to be going to different types of communities. So the Hispanic community, the small business association community, white community, black community, like all these different types of communities. and do interviews to learn what they feel is lacking in financial education for their community specifically. Did all that research, put together a financial master plan. It took about a year and a half or so to finish putting together. But during that process, one of the visits to the mayor's office, I was talking with the mayor's assistant at the time, and she heard about some of the things that I was interested in, some of the projects I was working on. And she said, "We got this guy in the office that you got to meet. So we're about to get ready to leave. I got to go introduce you to Nick." So we went and met Nick, and she told him what I was interested in. He gave me this sheet of paper. I still got it in one of my folders around here. But he had a printout of an idea to put entrepreneurship and financial education into, to the youth population. And that's where he and I we clicked. And we stayed in touch. We lost touch after about a year or so when I went off to LSU to work on my doctorate. But literally the week that I came back from LSU, he invited me to a ribbon cutting ceremony in downtown Hattiesburg. This new development project that he had a hand in on, and from there, I was like, "Look, man, we got to work on something together. I don't know what it's gonna be. I don't know when it's gonna be. We got to work on something together." And he brought me a couple different things over the next year or so that haven't, I'm not going to say didn't pan out, but haven't fully fleshed out yet. But then he brought, this opportunity to me. And I had been saying for the longest, I need to get into the real estate space because that's one of the primary ways to start creating generational wealth. So initially, I'm thinking, okay, where am I going to pull these funds from? How am I going to make this work? Okay, I got a partner that can definitely help with this project, but he's got his hands tied up in so much in the space that he's occupying. So I had a conversation with my brother, and he's got nowhere near the amount of bills. He don't have any kids. He doesn't have a significant, well, he doesn't have a live-in significant other. So he's got a lot more disposable income than I do. Let's see if we can work something out. And we decided, let's go in on this baby together, formulate us an entity. And here we are today. And I'm just blessed to be able to run alongside you guys and just be able to, to give the value that I can give. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, what is this project? What is the value that I'm speaking of? So give us should we look at the video first, or should we get some insight and then?
Yeah, let's prep that video.
Yeah. We'll get some insight first.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like when Nick is on the call because we can kind of bounce back how this came in before me. But I'll try to get my rendition since he's not on. But basically, me and Nick been working together on projects for since we graduated. Really, we worked on different types. So we've been partners for a long time. And every time something come across his plate, or just he get an idea, sometimes it can be a little radical, and sometimes it be spot on. So, but we've been through this journey together. But he's just on the phone. He's like, "Man, I found it, man. I found a gold mine." He was like, so I'm like, "Man, all right, here go another one of your projects that we gonna have to try to wing through and see if it's gonna actually work." But I took him seriously, and which I respect. He has a lot of knowledge in that base and has good ideas throughout our relationship. So he was like, "Man, come, I need you to come look at this building." So I rode on down there to Hattiesburg. And when I got there, of course, when you look at it on the outside, you're like, "Oh man, what is this thing?" Especially the front, how it looks now. So we walked on the inside, and it was full of junk, full of mess. But as designers and just visualists, we just walked it, and we was like, "Oh man, this got super potential." Like we can just actually see how we can formulate different things through the building. And so just overview of the buildings currently is about 9,700 square feet. It's 3 floors. Have a basement level, first level, of course, and then a like a mezzanine or second level. And what we looked at doing is creating this mixed use concept. Um, I know downtown Hattiesburg now is really starting to fluctuate. They having a lot of projects coming down there, a lot of different activities. So um, I just looked at that potential, and just from through the years being really tethered or gravitating towards Hattiesburg and getting more insight on what's going on there. I've had several projects before that down there. Um, I just was like, oh yeah, this could be something. This can really be an asset and a catalyst project for that area. So being from New Orleans, I seen different kind of concepts. They have these food halls where you got multiple vendors. You can create this environment that you have a variation of food um, in this space, and then you create this atmosphere that's always got activity because of those different variations and different concepts. And everybody loves food, so you got some,
especially here in the South.
yeah. So if you got something excited like that, it can be a hit. So we decided, we wanted that was going to be our main theme to our main concept for this facility to create this food hall concept. So then we start playing around with different other uses on the in the building, and we came up with an office concept, a rooftop concept. Then we looked at the land that's around and was like, oh, we can do a public pool. There's no public pools in Hattiesburg, so we just start feeding off different ideas of how we can maximize the potential of this facility and this project. And of course, when you're looking at that, you're looking at dollars. You're like, oh, how much this, how much we can make off this facility, and how much if we take people on this journey, how much we can assist with, them being inclusive on some of that income potential. So that's how it started, man. That's how it started, and we started this journey close to, I guess, about the summer of last year when I first went and looked at the building, got it under contract, and we kicked right off into due diligence, man. Started analyzing the building. Bones were good. Started putting things in place that needed to go there, and that's we here. We ready to close now. We getting down to the finish line and getting it kicked off.
Man, I love it. I love it. I love it. And what I want people to listen to, because a lot of my audience is entrepreneurs. So when it comes to entrepreneurship, a lot of people go into it because they see the end result and they just want that. They don't
Mm-hmm.
focus on like what problem am I solving. They don't focus on what do people actually want. What does the market actually say is going to be profitable?
Mm-hmm.
So if you paid attention, Ken mentioned we can bring something that we know people want, but then a problem, we don't have public pools. Like as hot as it gets down here, as many kids we got running around that can't get into some of these private apartment complexes, we need a space to be able to, to have various different types of events. So you're serving a need, but at the same time, you're bringing something to the people that they want. And when you can marry those two together, you got a recipe for greatness. So I want people to think about that when they go into business for themselves, not only just as an entrepreneur, but when you're looking into an investment property, analyze it from various different perspectives. Don't just go in laser focus on your initial idea, because I know you guys, like you mentioned,
Mm-hmm.
the initial ideas aren't necessarily what's going to flush
Oh,
out towards the end. So you have to be flexible, and it's always great to to have some feedback from
mm-hmm.
multiple individuals. Now, on that front, is there or how did you guys approach getting feedback from the outset? Obviously, you bounce ideas from one another. What
Mm-hmm.
is or what approach did you take when it comes to like seeing if this is something that's going to be a buy-in for the community?
Yeah. So we when we first kicked it off, I have a couple, I guess, colleagues from Baton Rouge area, or that went to Southern and Tulane, that's in development industry now, and they've done some projects with this crowdfunding concept where they pool money from different individuals and just bounce their vision off and just get people to collectively be a part of that vision. So me kind of being on the outskirts, and I actually got involved in one of those type of projects in Houston, in the Houston area. I just kind of started off with that concept, and we kicked out these ideas, these initial ideas, to some people we knew, from Hattiesburg, some people I knew that's trying to get in the development world. And so we presented and just had an open door, like getting feedback from different ideas from people that's in the community, for one. So that was the initial step of just kind of making sure that we on the right track with our thoughts and what we're trying to do. And then from there we met with the city. That's the main thing. If you get the city on your back and just have different support from them, you pretty much got a clean slate for trying to carry out whatever you're trying to do, as long as you can make things happen on the financial side. So yeah, we met with downtown development. We met with the ADP, that's Area Development Partnership, which kind of maintains projects in that area, and just kind of is a backbone to make sure developers or different investors get what they need to make their projects a success. And met with them. They was excited. So just feeding off and building off of their excitement, we know we on to something. We know, meeting with the reviewers for the city, they got all excited. So we like, oh yeah, we had a zoning meeting where we had to change our zoning to be in compliance with parking. And so when we presented there, they excited, like, man, can we see some pictures of the pool? Can we see this? So they excited. And then from there, we met with the banks, and all the banks was excited. So we got excitement from the financing side. Like, all 2 or 3 banks want to finance the project. So just from those different aspects, we knew we put something positive and something solid together, as far as from a conceptual and visual perspective. And all we had to do is take those visuals and ideas and put the technicality part behind it to make it an actual reality. And we made some changes here and there, because at first we had an entertainment venue inside this facility. In the basement, we wanted to do gaming, like digital gaming. They got those big screens that you can play, like digital golf, basketball, stuff like that. Pool hall. We had like a miniature bowling. So this was some of the initial concepts, because that's a lack down there, and especially in downtown Hattiesburg and in that immediate vicinity. And so, but once we look at the actualities of the heights of the ceiling, and once you get into the real formal parts of design, you say, oh, this ain't gonna work. We're not gonna have enough room. We gonna have to try to make something else work. So the project, it shift gears a whole bunch of different times. We had different evaluations and different uses that we proposed, and we moved around through it. But that's what got us to where we at today, to where everything pretty much works, and it's pretty smooth sailing from here. We just got to carry it out. So yeah,
Man, I love it. Now, something that you mentioned, which I know a lot of people probably caught, because it wasn't like you were trying to hide it. When it comes to the funding, you decided to go a crowdfunding route. Now, a lot of people, when they get their hands on a project like that, man, I need the biggest piece of the pie that I can get.
Mhm.
Like, don't tell them, like, let's push this through, and let's, make our pockets fat. What made you want to open it up to the crowdfunding perspective? Because it really literally can shift the generational trajectory for people when it comes to financial, their financial fortitude, so on and so forth. So what gave you guys the idea to, let's do the crowdfunding route and open this up to the people?
Yeah, for one, leverage was a big part of that. Once you get people kind of bought into your idea, we collectively, you can make strength. As long as you don't have a lot of chiefs and everybody trying to be in charge and tell you this and that, it's a lot of power in that, when everybody can collectively come together on a common goal and just play their part. That's very powerful. So that was number one, for just trying to set that and formulate that up for a leverage perspective. And then I've always, just from being exposed to that concept, and I've always wanted to get into the real estate industry. And you don't have the big funds and you don't have the wherewithal to try to do these things, but when people give you that opportunity to start somewhere, a basis and a ground basis for to get to generational wealth, and just to get to something that's productive, and just that is just what you call, I guess, portfolio income per se,
Yeah.
to where you starting to build your portfolio up, and having this ongoing income coming in. We have to, us in our community, have to really dive into that, especially in these times, when retirement is tough. It's not like it was back in the day when our parents and grandparents were coming up. So we do have to look at things to diversify our income potential. And just being exposed to those concepts through time, I wanted to make sure I can give other people the opportunity to jump on this train with me to make it happen. And we started off light with it. We just started off with people we knew, um, just pitching it out, and it just grew, and it started growing and growing and growing. And just with people like you, Brian, and other individuals that have financial platforms, we've been able to really catapult from a small beginnings to really getting the word out there and getting the people we need to make this project happen. And it all depends on the project as well. What projects people will be excited about and will want to buy into, and then the other projects that you have to keep it basic, and if you might have one or two investors or something like that. So that's pretty much the nutshell of our thoughts behind it.
Well, before we shift into giving the people some visuals, I want you to give us at least one instance along the way where you're like, man, if this happened, man, I don't know if it's gonna work. Like, we might, I don't know, man. Like, give us some insight on that if that took place.
If that took place, I don't know, man. I've always been pretty optimistic, just throughout life, man. Even as a young boy, we've done some stuff that probably was against odds a lot. Like
Yeah.
we came up with, me and my friends, like being from a small town, we can typically come up with some interesting things to do, or interested, um, I guess, concepts that we just kind of follow and try to do. And so that's just been my MO through life. Even at Southern, just um, defeating, going through hard times and the difficult odds. So I've always had that positive mindset that it's gonna it's gonna work out some kind of way. We're
Yeah.
gonna figure out how to. We just got to keep on moving it, moving that train forward. And so that's been my attitude throughout the process. We have had some hiccups. Now, don't let me tell you we ain't had no hard times, or it ain't been no hiccups through the project. Because at one time, when you doing projects this side into this magnitude, you have to have a strong financial backing behind it. So there was a time in the process where we were trying to find that backbone that was going to really stick behind us and put us where we needed to be, for the project to actually transpire from a financial standpoint. And that was a little tough process. We presented to countless individuals that's in the development world, that's doing big projects themselves, or that's large, I would say, kind of pretty successful investors to a sense. And yeah, that was a process, man. It went on for I would say a few months. And then we had thought we had one person. They was like, yeah, we love the project. We got some iffiness about this and that. We was vetting them and we was like building that relationship, and it kind of died down. But in the nick of time, somebody stepped in that we had talked to before, and they was like, man, I'm gonna really dig deep into it and see what's going on. And yeah, we just clicked tight. They just was like, man, I'm mad I ain't jumped on it earlier, So it all worked out, but that was a difficult process to be just transparent about it.
Man, and that's real. And for those who know anything about Moss Point, who know anything about, South Mississippi, really, when it comes to our community, gotta have some resilience. Like
Yeah.
you can't be when somebody tell you no, if you really want it, you gotta go to that next table.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, I'm not surprised whatsoever, that you have that level of resilience, or you guys have that level of resilience, because
Mm-hmm.
we need that to really be able to get to where it is, and I'm going to say it, to where it is that we've gotten, because there's a lot of us, a lot of our peers that we know that are still where they were when we graduated high school. Ain't nothing
Mm-hmm.
changed, still doing the same things. But those of us that have gone and done things, not to put down on anyone, because everyone has their life story, but we had to take certain routes and develop a certain thickness of skin to continue to push forward. Because
Mm-hmm.
plenty of people was telling you, you ain't gonna make it, you wasting your time, why you going over there, we don't go over there, why you leaving family, like all of
Mm-hmm.
that. You got to be willing and able to push through if you want to get to where it is you ultimately want to get. And as we've heard a lot, and some of what you've been speaking on, is it's not all about you.
No.
So it's got to be about more than just yourself for you to really push through, because most of us, we can become content and living a mediocre life. But we have to realize, specifically those of us who are parents, we're serving as an example. So do
Mm-hmm.
we want that next generation to just do the bare minimum? Do we want them to give up the first time someone tells them no? No. So we got to continue to push forward. So we're going to get ready to show the people what it is that is in the process of coming to downtown Hattiesburg. Is there anything that you want to preface the people on before we start to show it? And then we'll kind of recap afterwards.
Yeah. Um, well, not really. The video kind of speaks for itself. Nick does a real good job at giving the commentation for the video, but it's just a rendition to give you a visual and a visual aid of what we're trying to bring down there, and just some of the opportunity we see and just the potential of this building. I would like to show what the building looks like now.
Oh my goodness, yes.
I wish we had a picture to pull up on the screen. Maybe we can find that once you
Let's
show the
do it
video.
again. Yeah,
Yeah.
but just from from a personal perspective, I remember seeing the outside of the building, just moving around through downtown over the years, but it wasn't like vivid, like in my mind.
Hmm.
So when I saw the rendering the first go around, he did a few renderings before the video rendering, and I'm like, that's dope. Like,
Hmm.
Nick, he do his thing, man. But then when we
Hmm.
went to the facility, and you have to be a visionary, like you have to be someone that can when it's not in its final condition, you can see it in its final before it gets there, to really make sense of these types of projects. Because a lot of people, like you said from the beginning, you went there like, you look a little toe down. But I remember when we did the walkthrough, and I'm remembering the rendering, and I'm like, that's that part, that
Yeah.
shows that part.
Yeah.
It starts to come together, and you get excited. So
Yeah.
just when you see this, for those of you who are local to the Hattiesburg area, I'm going to send a recording to a lot of you who may not be watching right now. And we may be able to bring you into the project, and you can see the physical location before the construction gets started. But we'll go ahead and pull up the video. It's beautiful, guys. Like, it's going to be difficult to actually visualize that. If you know downtown Hattiesburg, that area, it's going to be a little difficult to say, what? This actually in Hattiesburg? All right, so let's look at this.
Yeah, so that's just giving you the walk around from the exterior. Mhm.
And
Giving
it
a
looks so
little
elegant.
insight. Yeah, giving a little insight on that rooftop activity. It's gonna be one of the first active rooftop bars. It's gonna be one of our main attractions to this facility. So looking to have a lot of activity on the roof and just feeling that atmosphere and environment for downtown as a attraction for people coming down there. And this is going to take you to that public pool concept with cabanas, swing you around how our initial rendition of this. You got the man in the pool and the pool bar serving drinks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's too dope, man.
very cool, man. And very, very, very attractive. Hmm. Back to your rooftop activity, giving a little more overview of that. Other thing we real excited about based on our location. We're not in the urban part of downtown, on the like right on the outskirts. So you got room to be able to place and do a lot of different amenities on the property itself and surrounding the building. Then you got two large public parking lots that we have access to right across the street, and then right across the train tracks. So if we attract a lot of individuals over here, it should never be a parking problem, until like downtown really beef up. And then, of course, we'll have a little parking on our site as well, and that just give you some renditions of some of the food dishes the quality of food dishes we want to bring in there, different culture type food concepts. We actually got some vendors already locked in, for the concept. We got the rooftop restaurant already locked in, the rooftop daiquiri vendor already locked in. We vetting and looking into a couple of the other vendors for the inside, just making sure they going with our vision, or they just kind of match in with our vision of what we're trying to do. But yeah, it's a lot of excitement, man. A lot of people that's interested in being a part of the Calico station.
Man, I don't think I could ever envision something like this taking place in Hattiesburg, and I'm just honored that you did what you did, man. You doing what you're doing. You haven't given up because it's so easy. There's a lot of forces out there against us when we're trying to do things like this. But like you said, it seems like all those forces are lining up with you because everywhere you went, everybody excited. So
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love it, man. So what are some forecasted times or dates that you can throw out people to expect certain aspects, certain construction? What are some dates that we can
Yeah,
be looking
sure.
out for?
Sure. So we have had a couple of hiccups that we worked through on the closing perspective. Being it is an older building, sometimes when you go through those title researches, they find old stuff from back in 1950s, 60s, or something like that they have to work through. So we finally got that ironed out beginning of this week. So we're actually setting our formal closing date that kind of lines up with me and my partner. and then making sure the bank get us all our documents we need to review, all the legal perspectives, getting our crowdfunding concept just kind of materialized and on the hot seat, ready to go with onboarding. So that's the process we in right now, just making sure all the legal ramifications are together and just everything is set for that closing. As soon as we close, we've been heavy into the design process, getting ready for our site plan review and approvals, which that should happen within the next 2 weeks or so. I would say before June is out, and then we would go to permitting. City will review, make sure everything is under code, and we cross out our T's, dot our I's, and then we ready to hit the ground running with construction. We're a little delayed behind that, of course, being that we had that unforeseen condition. But as soon as we hit construction, we still have a goal for January, probably February of next year, that we'll open up our initial concepts, which is the office space, and just have some initial activity going on in there. But we looking, when it get hot, we want to really beef up and hit the food hall concept with the pool. We're going to open all that stuff collectively, rooftop bar. So we looking probably April, May of next year, where we'll be having some operational activity going on. And then from there, I mean, it's we get the project stabilized, and that we ready to go. Oh yeah,
Man, that's
existing.
gonna be here before you know it. April gonna be here before you know it, man. But
Yeah.
yeah, these are some of the visuals of what we're working with. Um, is there any one of these specific you want me to pull up and you can kind of give us some insight? Like you guys probably could have. You can't tell it all. That's just the same place
Yeah, pull up that one right there. That 309 East
right
Pine.
here.
Yeah, that kind of give you one of the best over if you can make that one big.
All right, let's see. I'm going to change just a second. Yeah, man. This gonna be huge. This is going to be huge, and it is about time we brought something like this.
So yeah, that's what you got right now. That's what we.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Look like a little sore. Like a very big eyesore. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Just
But it's massive. It's huge, man. That's
I
what
was
we're excited about, the potential of how big it is. You can't even tell it's that big from not
yeah.
from the front.
From the front, you can't tell it's this big, but looking at it from the side, back, so on and so forth, you see that it's big. But when you go to the inside and you look at the levels,
Yeah,
like
and walk
this
through.
place,
Yeah, it's a lot.
yeah,
It's a lot to
it is
deal with,
huge.
man.
But this is Calico Station. This is the project that these gentlemen have initiated. And I'm just thankful, man. I'm thankful to be part of this project. And I'm sure we'll be doing probably a few more of these types of sessions. Maybe give an update, here or there. But um, is there anything you want to share with the people regarding the potential of being part of this
Investment.
project?
Yeah, so it of course it's still open. The way we set it up, we have a certain allocation of shares that we are allowing individuals to buy into the project. So that keeps popping up on my phone.
Yeah, some type of
Yeah,
alert going
alert.
on.
Yeah, alert. But yeah, we have 150 total shares that we made available for people to get involved. Our crowdfunding raise or target amount is 375,000. So and that 150 shares equates to 2,500 per share. So individuals can buy up as many shares as they want, long as we don't get to that cap, you know. So we got individuals that's doing multiple, some doing just one, something like you have some partnerships that's kind of partnering together to buy up one or multiple shares. So we have different dynamics on that perspective as far as being a part of the ownership side of the project. Our goal is by November to really sell out or have all the shares kind of allocated at that point. We now I think we have maybe 90 left. So we sold about 60. We met our initial goal for the closing, so we surpassed that on our raise of share purchases. So we're excited about that, and you know, we didn't have any kind of public platforms, so this onboarding process is really going to make it more public and give people better opportunity to be able to look into the project. But yeah, anybody that's excited, we have videos that we recorded that we can share, that you can see like the dynamics of the project, how the finances work out. You can see the design concepts throughout the project through those videos, and we'll be excited about sharing it to individuals and folks coming aboard of the Calico train. So,
That's
yeah.
it, man. Man, well, thank you, man, for your time. We're gonna do an encore of some sort, because this is something we definitely want to make sure that everybody is able to get their eyes on, at least, and those who are willing and desiring can get their money into, because this is one of the primary ways, as I mentioned earlier, to start creating generational wealth. This is that third relationship with money. Once you start to get this flowing the right way, you're starting to take care of your kids and positioning them to take care of their kids, so on and so forth. So you got to be able to link up with the right people that are doing the right type of projects that's going to go the long run. So I'm off that note. Appreciate you again, man. We'll be in communication. I'm so excited about the forward progress. And yeah, you guys have a great night, and we'll see you on the flip.
No problem. Appreciate you for having me, man.
Yes, sir. You be easy now. We'll be in
You too,
touch.
See
All right, ladies and gents. So we've heard it, the whole crab in a barrel mentality. We can't have that. We got to get rid of that. We have got to get rid of it. And once we do, and we're able to come together on projects like this, that's when we start to change the trajectory of so many future generations. So if you have interest in being part of this project, you can reach out directly to myself. I'll get you in touch with Ken and the team, and maybe you become one of the investors, or maybe you can just share out to someone who is ready and willing and desiring to be an investor, and we can position them. Who knows, maybe they can connect with you. If you don't have the wherewithal, maybe they can connect, develop some sort of partnership with you and make it to where you can benefit financially as well. But off that note, guys, appreciate your time. Reach out to me if you have any questions, comments, or anything. And hopefully we'll be seeing you on the rooftop, in the offices, and by the poolside at the Calico station next summer. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a great remainder of your